the weight of a sigh.
Imagine, if you will, just for a second, a world that is completely defined by this endless, unyielding demand for your attention.
Oh, yeah. Like the constant pinging.
Exactly. Just ping, ping, ping. I mean, from the exact moment you wake up, you are just bombarded. You got these algorithmic expectations basically analyzing every single click you make.
Right. Optimizing your feed so your heart rate stays just slightly elevated.
Yeah, precisely. And then on top of that, you have this kind of suffocating breakneck velocity of modern corporate life that just never stops, like ever.
I'm exhausted.
It really is. It's like you're walking through this concrete landscape and you are soaked to the bone in this digital rain that, you can't physically feel it, but it's weighing you down all the time.
Blowing at your shoulders.
Tightening your jaw, everything. So now I want you to imagine finding this heavy oak door right in the middle of all that chaos. You step inside, you close it behind you, and you just hit the off switch. Click.
Just silence.
Right. But what does that silence actually sound like?
Honestly, it's a jarring thought because we are so incredibly accustomed to the noise,
Yeah, the constant stimulation.
Exactly. So the sudden absence of it almost feels like a physical pressure drop in your ears at first. It's super disorienting.
Like you're just bracing yourself for the next alert to go off.
Right, but if you can wait out that initial panic.
You can just hold on for a second.
Yeah, it settles. The ringing fades out and your breathing actually slows down.
And that settling, that exact, really profound moment of quiet, biological recalibration, that is exactly what we are exploring today. So, welcome to the deep dive.
We have something really, truly special on the table today for you.
We really do. We managed to secure an exclusive breakdown of this groundbreaking conceptual jazz album that just hit the landscape. It's titled The Weight of a Sigh.
And our mission today isn't just to, review some music. We're not just giving it a star rating.
No, definitely not. We are going to take you inside this sort of auditory sanctuary to figure out exactly how sound can manipulate human biology and psychology, really.
Yeah, we're going to unpack the entire architecture of this record, literally frequency by frequency.
Understand why it's having such a profound effect on, well, basically everyone who listens to it.
But before we get into the really heavy conceptual framework, we do need to make a quick correction based on our latest source material.
Oh, right. Yeah, let's get the personnel straight.
Yeah, because we need to properly credit the brilliant minds behind this project. So the soaring, incredibly intimate vocals that you hear throughout the record, those actually belong to Jane Sinclair.
Right, Jane Sinclair.
And the atmospheric, elite production, like the whole sonic landscape, we'll be discussing that, is orchestrated by Michael Ela AI.
Michael Ela AI, got it.
And the compositions themselves, like the sweeping, deeply human architecture of the songs, those are written by Lyra Sterling.
A powerhouse trio, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Jane Sinclair on vocals, Michael Ela AI producing, and Lyra Sterling composing.
Exactly.
So let's unpack the blueprint they're working from, because immediately, just listening to it, it is very clear this isn't just a standard collection of jazz tunes.
No, not at all.
So what is the core philosophical concept driving this whole project?
Well, the album's core theme, as explicitly defined in our sources, is, and I quote, the shared anatomy of the heart. Universality through absolute specificity.
Wow, universality through absolute specificity.
Right. And we need to contrast this with what people normally expect. Like, if you think of traditional mid-century jazz, you probably picture chaotic, blistering saxophone solos.
Yeah, crowded, smoky rooms in New York.
Exactly. Or complex mathematical time signatures just fighting each other. But this album represents a movement that's being called Fusion 2.0.
Fusion 2.0. I mean, it sounds like a tech startup, not really a musical genre. What does that actually mean in practice?
It basically means stripping away the ego of the musician. Fusion 2.0, at least in the context of this specific album, is this highly intentional blend of cinematic ambient jazz, neo-soul, and lo-fi hip-hop.
Okay, so a real mix of textures.
Yeah, and the goal isn't to impress you with how fast the bassist can play. The goal is empathy.
Empathy through music.
It's not trying to overwhelm you. It is actively trying to understand you. It uses the instrumentation to create space rather than just trying to fill every empty second.
It's like they built an audio shelter. I think that's the best analogy I can come up with. It's a physical space made entirely of sound where you can escape that digital downpour we were talking about.
Drop the heavy modern armor.
Yeah, exactly. Drop the armor you wear to work every day and just finally breathe. But here is where it gets really interesting for me, and where I actually have a lot of questions.
Oh boy, here we go.
There is this secret weapon built into the very physics of this album.
Yeah.
The producers claim that every single track is tuned to a specific solfeggio healing frequency.
That is correct. Every track on The Weight of a Sigh is tuned to one of these specific frequencies.
Okay.
And it's not just an aesthetic or artistic choice, it's intended as a biological intervention.
Right, but...
They engineered this album to literally recalibrate the listener's autonomic nervous system through acoustic resonance.
Okay, see, I have to push back hard on this right out of the gate. Because healing frequencies, that sounds incredibly pseudoscientific to me.
I get that.
It sounds like something you'd read on a flyer at like a local crystal shop, you know?
Yeah.
Promising to align your chakras if you just buy this $20 tuning fork.
Yeah, no, it's a completely fair skepticism to have. The term solfeggio frequencies definitely has a lot of new age baggage attached to it.
Tons of baggage.
But if we strip away the mysticism for a second, let's just look at the actual physics of acoustics and human biology. What we're really talking about here is the principle of entrainment.
Entrainment. Okay, break that down for me because I need the science.
So entrainment is a phenomenon in physics where two interacting oscillating systems just naturally assume the same period.
Like matching up their rhythms.
Exactly. The classic example is if you put two pendulum clocks on a wall next to each other.
Okay.
Eventually, just the tiny vibrations moving through the wood of the wall will cause those two pendulums to swing in perfect synchronization.
Really? Just from the vibrations?
Just from the vibrations. And the human body is basically just a really complex web of oscillating systems.
Right, our heartbeat, breathing.
Your heart rate, your brain waves, your respiratory cycle. So when you introduce a sustained specific acoustic frequency into a room, sound waves literally hit your body.
They physically touch you.
Yes. It is kinetic energy physically touching your skin and traveling through your auditory cortex.
So the music isn't just like going into our ears and staying in our brains, it's physically impacting our cellular structure.
Exactly. Low-frequency sound waves can travel right through tissue and bone. By tuning the music to specific frequencies, the producers are attempting to coax the body's internal rhythms to synchronize with the external sound.
Wow. Okay, so entrainment is doing the heavy lifting here.
Right. If the external sound is slow, steady, and resonant, it can trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest mode, and that lowers cortisol levels and slows the heart rate.
I see.
So while calling it a miracle healing tone might definitely be hyperbole, using sound to intentionally alter physiological states is a totally well-documented scientific reality.
Okay, that reframes it entirely for me. We aren't just listening to music, we are undergoing an actual acoustic recalibration.
The music is doing physical work on your body.
That is fascinating. But before we get into exactly how that sounds track by track, we really have to talk about the lyrical and emotional production philosophy.
Yeah, the tactile rule.
Right, because making an album that feels this intimately connected to the listener, it requires some incredibly strict ground rules in the studio. How do you make an ordinary person who's just listening on earbuds while folding laundry feel like a song was written exclusively about their specific life?
Well, you implement what composer Lyra Sterling calls the tactile rule.
The tactile rule.
Yeah, and the directive she gave to the entire production team was completely uncompromising. Like, strict, no complex metaphors, no mathematical imagery.
No poetry about the cosmos.
Exactly, no grand, sweeping historical epics. The lyrics had to focus exclusively on tangible, mundane, everyday things.
Like what? Give me some examples of these mundane things.
We're talking about, like, a coffee ring left on a wooden counter.
Oh, man.
The smell of unpacking cardboard boxes in a new, empty apartment, or the exact lighting when you look into a bathroom mirror at midnight.
I love that so much, because the real poetry of our lives, it doesn't come from using massive vocabulary words.
No, it rarely does.
It comes from the raw vulnerability attached to these perfectly normal items. I mean, we have all stared at a dirty coffee cup when we're just too depressed to wash it.
Yeah, we've all been there.
We all know the exact texture of that feeling. It's universal because it's so incredibly small.
Universality through absolute specificity.
There it is.
That was the core concept. By describing a hyper-specific moment like staring at that brown stain on the woods, the listener's brain automatically fills in the blanks with their own personal grief or their own memory.
It's a psychological hook.
Right. And to deliver those lyrics, the vocal engineering for Jane Sinclair was radically different from standard pop or jazz production. The production notes they used explicitly prioritize intimacy over volume.
The notes are wild to read. I mean, you look at how most modern vocals are produced today, they're compressed to within an inch of their lives.
Completely squash, yeah.
Perfectly pitch corrected, doubled, tripled, and pushed to the absolute front of the mix so they just punch right through your smartphone speakers. But here they went the exact opposite direction.
You really did. The directives for Jane Sinclair's performance were entirely about capturing the fragile, flawed human element. They utilized techniques described in the notes as close mic intimacy.
Okay, let's get technical for a second here. What does close mic intimacy actually do on a purely acoustic level? Like, why does it sound so different to our ears?
Well, it relies on something called the proximity effect.
Proximity effect.
Yeah, so when a vocalist gets extremely close to a directional microphone, sometimes literally just an inch or two away from the grill, the microphone naturally boosts the low frequency response. It captures the deep resonance of the chest cavity, the tiny little clicks of the tongue, the movement of the lips, the really subtle intake of breath.
Which basically tricks our brain, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Evolutionarily speaking, the only time you ever hear those specific low-frequency vocal sounds and mouth noises is when someone is physically right next to your ear.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like a lover or a parent or a really close friend just whispering to you in the dark.
That makes total sense.
So by recording Sinclair this way, the listener's brain, the auditory processing center, is basically tricked into feeling a sense of profound physical proximity.
It totally bypasses the logical part of your brain that knows, hey, this is a Spotify track, and hits that primal brain that says, oh, someone is sitting right next to me on the couch.
Exactly. And the notes say they intentionally left audible sighs and swallows in the vocal takes. They wanted this fragile, conversational phrasing.
And what about belting? Because there are huge moments on this album.
Right, belting that big, powerful Celine Dion-style vocal projection that is reserved strictly for the choruses.
Only the choruses.
And only to simulate the physical release of pent-up emotional tension.
It's a complete exercise in restraint. Because if you belt the entire song, it just becomes noise.
You get fatigued.
But if you whisper the entire song, and then you just belt one single note at the climax, it feels like an emotional dam breaking.
Yeah, the contrast is what gives it power. And the team was just as strategic about how they placed this intimate sound out in the real world. Michael Ela AI, the producer, made a highly calculated choice when framing the album on digital distribution platforms like DistroKid.
Right, they didn't just throw it in the jazz bucket and, hope for the best.
No, not at all. For the lead single, they categorized it under singer-songwriter as the primary genre.
Which is crazy for a jazz track.
Yeah, and they put jazz only as the secondary tag.
Okay, I have to ask, is that just cynical algorithmic manipulation?
Yeah.
Like, are they just trying to game the Spotify playlist by pretending to be some acoustic indie folk act when they're actually playing really complex jazz chords?
It's a totally fair question, but I'd actually argue it's a brilliant piece of psychological curation.
How so?
Think about the mindset of a listener who searches for singer-songwriter playlists.
Okay, they want lyrics.
Right. They are actively seeking storytelling. They're looking for acoustic vulnerability, lyrics they can relate to, a voice that feels human and flawed.
Yeah, that's true.
If you label it purely as jazz, you immediately invoke these expectations of instrumental complexity or background dinner music or really academic musical theory.
Right. People expect a 10-minute trumpet solo.
Exactly. By leading with singer-songwriter, Michael Ela AI is signaling to the algorithm, yes, but more importantly, he's signaling to the human curators. This is a story. Come for the emotion, stay for the jazz instrumentation.
They were actively managing expectations before you even hear the first note. Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Does the hyper-digital, perfectly polished, auto-tuned nature of modern life actually make us crave this raw, unpolished acoustic sound even more?
I think so, absolutely.
Like, do we desperately need to hear the breath, the crackle, the humanity in a recording just to prove to ourselves that we are still human?
The immense commercial success of this album argues a resounding yes. We are literally starving for friction.
Starving for flaws.
Exactly. And that brings us to how the album actually initiates this process of healing and stripping away that digital polish. The journey begins exactly where it has to, by forcing the listener to stare directly at themselves.
Because you really can't heal your relationship with the outside world until you fix the relationship with the person in the mirror.
Right.
So the opening sequence of this album acts as this internal reckoning. It transitions the listener through a very specific psychological arc. It moves from crushing self-doubt to a sudden, joyful awareness of the present moment, and finally, to making peace with the past.
It's quite the arc.
It is. And it starts with a track carrying just the heaviest title imaginable, The Apology I Owe Myself.
Track 1. Let's look at the sonic architecture of this opening piece. This track is tuned specifically to 174 hertz.
174 hertz.
Right. And in the study of resonant frequencies, 174 hertz is heavily associated with stress relief and the actual reduction of physical pain.
Wow.
Musically, it is structured as a raw, very sparse piano ballad featuring a sweeping, mournful cello. And crucially, the tempo is set at a very slow, resting heartbeat pace of exactly 60 beats per minute.
The 60 BPM choice is just fascinating to me, because 60 beats per minute is exactly 1 beat per second.
Right, it's a clock ticking.
But it's also the target resting heart rate for a calm, healthy adult. So the music is literally pacing you, trying to drag an anxious 100 beat per minute heart rate down to match the tempo of the piano.
It's acting as a sonic anchor. And the story layered on top of this anchor is all about realization. The hardest apology you will ever give isn't to a friend you wronged or a partner you hurt.
No, it's yourself.
The hardest apology is to the person looking back at you in the mirror. It's about forgiving yourself for the mistakes you made when you just didn't know any better.
The hook of this song is just devastating in its simplicity. Jane Sinclair sings, "I'm putting down the stones I hold and forgiving the parts of me growing old."
Putting down the stones.
It perfectly captures that exact moment at the end of the day. You know, you're staring into the bathroom mirror, you're watching your face, and you just realize how incredibly harshly you've been criticizing yourself all day long.
Oh, yeah. The internal monologue.
Right. You've been carrying this invisible, lead-filled backpack of guilt and expectation. You've basically been hiking up a mountain for years with this thing. The tracks are just digging into your shoulders, and this track is the moment you finally realize.
Yeah.
You can just unbuckle it. You can just let it hit the dirt.
The physical metaphor is key here, because the 174 hertz frequency is utilized because carrying the psychological weight of past mistakes is actually biologically, physically taxing on the body.
It literally hurts you.
Yeah, chronic guilt and stress literally tighten the chest, elevate cortisol, and cause muscle tension in the neck and shoulders. So the music, the slow tempo, the deep cello resonance, the specific frequency, it is all engineered to induce the physical sensation of dropping your shoulders.
And the visual component they created for this, I mean, it's a masterclass in modern media. The source material outlines this incredible music video production sheet. But they didn't shoot a traditional widescreen cinematic video.
No, they went a totally different route.
They shot it in 9.16 aspect ratio, vertical.
Explicitly designed for mobile phones, for the TikTok and Instagram Reels ecosystem.
Which initially feels super contradictory to the whole Fusion 2.0 anti-digital ethos, doesn't it? Like, why put it there?
It might seem that way on the surface, but it's actually a Trojan horse strategy.
A Trojan horse.
Think about it. They are taking this deeply acoustic healing message and delivering it directly into the most frantic, anxiety-producing medium we currently have, the endless vertical scroll.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're scrolling through noise and then suddenly this.
Right. And the visual translation relies on very tight, almost claustrophobic cuts to trap the viewer in this intimate space. Extreme close-ups.
The imagery described in the notes is just striking. It opens with an extreme macro close-up of a tired woman's trembling hand just resting next to a heavy wooden gavel on a desk.
And the gavel represents the constant self-judgment.
Right, the internal court that is always in session in our heads. Then there's a shot of her looking out a rain-streaked window into a blurry, out-of-focus city night. There's this one scene where the shadows falling across her face perfectly resemble the iron bars of a cage.
She's locked herself away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the climax of the video, matching that exact lyric about putting down the stones, it's this extreme slow-motion shot of her delicate, tired hands opening up to drop these heavy, dark river stones into a pool of water.
And the visual of the hands relaxing and the stones falling, it perfectly mirrors the acoustic stress relief of that 174 hertz tuning. It's basically a multimedia assault on tension.
That's a great way to put it.
And the brilliant sequencing of the album is that once you've put those heavy stones down, you wake up the next morning feeling physically lighter, you breathe a little easier, which shifts the tone entirely as we move into the second track, The Art of the Ordinary.
Yeah, this one is a complete vibe shift. It's tuned to 285 hertz, which is the frequency associated with healing damaged tissue and returning the body to a state of homeostasis.
Right.
Musically, it's this gorgeous bossa nova-infused jazz track. You've got a nylon string acoustic guitar, and it bumps up the tempo to a much more upbeat 100 BPM.
Let's talk about the instrumentation for a second. Choosing a nylon string guitar over a steel string acoustic is a very deliberate tactile choice by Lyra Sterling.
Why does that matter?
Well, steel strings have a sharp, bright attack. They are designed to cut through a mix.
Okay, they're loud.
Right. But nylon strings, which are traditionally used in classical and bossa nova music, they have a much warmer, rounded, softer, transient response. It sounds like a cushion rather than a knife.
I like that. A cushion, not a knife.
And bossa nova itself relies on polyrhythms that create a sense of swaying rather than marching.
Jane Sinclair's vocal delivery here is described in the notes as effortless and smiling, but the production notes also specify that she is singing just a fraction of a second behind the beat.
Yeah, singing behind the beat is a classic jazz technique. It's often associated with legends like Billie Holiday, but here it serves a deeply psychological purpose. By intentionally lagging just slightly behind the strict tempo of the drums, the vocalist is subtly telling the listener's brain that there is absolutely no rush.
The world is moving at 100 BPM, but she's not.
Exactly. The singer is just strolling at her own pace. It projects this immense confidence and relaxation.
And the story of the song matches that relaxed sway perfectly. It's simply about waking up, drinking a cup of coffee, and realizing that you don't need grand adventures or this relentless, toxic hustle culture to justify your existence.
You don't have to be productive to be valuable.
Yes, the hook says it all. The coffee's warm and the morning is free. The ordinary rhythm is enough for me.
It's the quiet rebellion of a peaceful morning.
It really is a rebellion these days.
In a culture that just constantly demands optimization and productivity, simply enjoying a warm beverage without looking at a screen is a radical act. And the 285 hertz frequency promotes restoration, which perfectly complements this idea that existing in the present moment is deeply healing.
You don't have to climb a metaphorical mountain today. You can literally just exist in your kitchen.
Exactly.
But existing fully in the present also means confronting how much you've changed to get there. Which brings us to a really difficult emotional pivot in the album. The final track of this internal reckoning is track 3, The Ghost of Who I Was.
Yeah, this track shifts to 396 hertz. And this is a frequency aimed at liberating the listener from fear and turning grief into joy.
Okay.
Sonically, it's a lo-fi jazz hop track featuring a delayed boom-bap beat sitting at a steady walking pace of 85 BPM.
Let's define the sound for a second for people who might not know. When we say boom bap and lo-fi jazz hop, we're talking about a very specific texture. This isn't like crisp, pristine studio drumming.
Not at all. Boom bap refers to a style of drum production that was popularized in 90s East Coast hip-hop. It's heavily reliant on acoustic drum samples played on drum machines like the Akai MPC.
Okay, so it's got that punch.
Right. The boom is the heavy kick drum, the bap is the snapping snare, but in the lo-fi context, producers actually intentionally degrade the audio quality.
They make it sound worse on purpose.
Exactly. They roll off the high frequencies, they add the sound of vinyl crackle, tape hiss, and this really subtle pitch modulation so the music sounds like an old, worn-out cassette tape that's been sitting in the sun.
Why do that, though? Why intentionally make the audio sound older and worse if you have elite production tools?
Because tape hiss and vinyl crackle act as acoustic safety blankets.
A safety blanket.
Yeah, they fill the sterile digital silence with noise that mimics the warmth of a womb or a crackling fire. It instantly triggers nostalgia in the listener's brain.
Wow.
And nostalgia is the exact psychological state required for the story of this specific song.
Which is incredibly specific and deeply relatable. The story is about the bittersweet grief of outgrowing a past version of yourself, shedding your old skin.
Yeah.
And the lyrics anchor this massive psychological concept to a very tactile experience. I love who you were, but I'm leaving you here, a beautiful ghost in the rearview mirror.
And the 396 hertz frequency is liberating energy from the paralyzing fear of the unknown. You are realizing that the familiar past, while comfortable, just doesn't fit your growing frame anymore.
The visual aesthetic outline for this track is the classic midnight drive. The notes describe this cinematic double exposure technique. We see the singer's profile reflected on the cold car window, but layered transparently over her face is a younger, more melancholic version of herself.
Right, the ghost.
She finds a faded Polaroid in the glove box, and then there's a lingering shot of this worn, oversized jacket sitting empty in the back seat. And the lyrics specifically mention that the jacket is from the year her courage was born.
It's beautiful imagery.
It is, but I have to push back a little here, and maybe this is just my own psychology showing, but why do we do this to ourselves?
Do what?
Why do we feel guilty for outgrowing our former selves? Like, why is our personal growth so often accompanied by this deep sense of mourning? Why can't we just be happy we evolved and got better?
It's a really profound question, and I think it cuts to the core of human attachment.
Okay, tell me more.
I think we mourn because our past selves, however flawed or frightened or traumatized they were, they kept us alive.
Oh, wow.
They built the foundation we currently stand on. The version of you that wore that oversized jacket survived the hardest years of your life. So leaving them behind, it feels like abandoning a loyal friend in the trenches.
It feels like a betrayal.
It feels like a betrayal.
That is heavy. You're right. That past version took the hits, so the current version could drive the car.
Exactly. But as this track suggests, true liberation isn't about hating your past self. You can love that past version, you can honor what they did for you, while still making the conscious choice to leave them in the rearview mirror.
You don't have to carry them into the future.
No, you just thank them for their service and keep driving.
Man. So, we dealt with the self, we've dropped the stones, we found peace in the morning, and we left the ghost behind. Now the album's architecture moves outward.
Section 3.
Yes. We shift into exploring how we relate to others in this chaotic, modern world. We're looking at the physical remnants of lost love, the desperate need for sanctuary, and the profound intimacy of silence.
And that outward exploration begins with the devastation of the mundane. Track 4. The coffee ring on the counter.
This one hurts. Just reading the breakdown of this track hurts.
That's brutal.
It's tuned to 417 hertz, which is the frequency for facilitating change and clearing trauma. Musically, it's an acoustic jazz trio. You have brush drums, a solitary melancholic piano, and it is painfully slow at 65 BPM.
The instrumentation tells the story before the vocals even begin. Think about the drums. Instead of hitting the snare drum with wooden sticks, the drummer is using wire brushes.
Right.
They stir the brushes in circles on the drum head. Acoustically, this removes the sharp crack of a drum hit and replaces it with a sustained, sweeping hiss.
Which sounds like what?
It sounds like someone dragging their feet across a floor. It sounds exhausted.
That is brilliant. And the story is that the true devastation of loss doesn't live in the cinematic moments. It doesn't live in the screaming arguments in the rain or the tearful goodbyes at the airport.
No.
It lives in mundane objects. It's the paralysis of the morning after they leave when you walk into the kitchen and you just stare at a brown stain on the wood where their coffee mug used to be. Love leaves physical evidence.
Jane Sinclair's vocal direction here is a total masterclass in emotional restraint. The directive given to her was fragile conversational phrasing. She includes audible swallows, dry lips parting. She doesn't sound like a singer performing a ballad in a studio. She sounds like someone in profound shock, just speaking out loud to an empty room trying to process reality.
No belting here, I assume.
Absolutely zero belting on this track, just the numb reality of the stain.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of the frequency tuning, how does 417 hertz actually facilitate change in a moment of such intense paralysis?
Well, the feeling behind 417 hertz is that it clears lingering negative energy and dissolves emotional blockages.
Okay. So the song acts as an acoustic bridge. It matches the literal and metaphorical act of finally finding the strength to just move your arm, take a damp cloth, and wipe the counter clean.
Erasing the physical evidence to facilitate the internal change.
Exactly. It takes a monumental amount of energy just to wipe the counter when you're in the depths of grief.
It really does.
And when you expend that kind of energy, you are left completely depleted.
Yeah.
Which makes the transition to track 5 so vital. This is the album's emotional anchor. It's called A Safe Place to Break.
This track is tuned to 432 hertz, which is famously known as the miracle tone, or earth resonance.
Right.
It's a neo-soul jazz piece with a warm Rhodes electric piano and a steady heartbeat rhythm at 75 BPM. But before we talk about the story, can you briefly explain the significance of 422 hertz? Because I know there's a massive debate in the music world about this specific number.
There is a really deep historical debate here. Most modern Western music is tuned to a standard where the A note above middle C vibrates at 440 hertz.
That became the international standard in the 20th century. However, a lot of musicians and acousticians argue that tuning the A note to 432 hertz is mathematically consistent with the patterns of the universe.
Like the golden ratio.
Exactly, the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence. The claim is that 432 hertz resonates with the natural frequency of the Earth, and therefore, music tuned to this frequency feels inherently more grounding, warmer, and softer to the human ear.
It physically feels like a hug rather than a performance.
Right.
And that aligns perfectly with the lyrical scenario, which is just universally relatable. You come home from the world completely exhausted, the armor you've been wearing all day at work, the fake smiles you give on Zoom calls, the hypervigilance required just to navigate the grid. It's all heavy and it's all fake.
You're just so tired.
You just need someone to let you fall apart without them trying to fix you. The lyric is, I don't need you to fix it, I don't need a cure, I just need a harbor when the water isn't sure.
It totally redefines modern romance. True love here is framed not as heroically swooping in to fix someone's problems, but simply bearing witness to their exhaustion.
Just being there.
It is the gift of non-judgmental presence.
I think of it like a ship returning to port after a massive, hull-cracking storm.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
When a battered ship pulls up to the dock doesn't immediately jump up and start trying to patch the wood or sew the torn sails. The dock doesn't offer unsolicited advice on how to navigate a hurricane.
Right. She just steered left.
Exactly. The dock just provides a sturdy, unwavering, safe place out of the rough water so the ship can finally stop fighting the waves. That's what this song is. It's a safe harbor.
Beautifully put. And, sometimes that profound sense of understanding isn't found in a long-term partner. Sometimes that harbor is found in the most unexpected transient moments with complete strangers.
Which brings us to track 6, A Language of Glances, which explores exactly that kind of fleeting connection.
Yeah.
This one is tuned to 528 hertz, which the sources claim is known for DNA repair and transformation. It's contemporary cinematic jazz at 90 BPM, featuring a breathy tenor saxophone that acts almost as a second wordless vocalist weaving around Jane Sinclair. But I have to stop you again here.
I know where this is going.
DNA repair. I mean, we talk about stress relief and heart rates, which I totally buy.
Yeah.
But sound waves repairing human DNA, that sounds like pure snake oil. How on earth can a jazz song fix a genetic sequence?
It's a very necessary pushback because that terminology gets so abused by wellness influencers online.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Let's be clear. Sound waves cannot act like microscopic tweezers splicing broken DNA strands back together. That is science fiction.
Okay, good.
However, we have to look at the field of epigenetics, which is how behaviors and your environment cause changes that affect the way your genes actually work.
Okay, I'm listening.
Chronic stress floods the body with cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, high cortisol levels literally shorten the telomeres on the ends of your chromosomes. And that leads to cellular aging and impaired DNA function. So the 528 hertz frequency, much like 432 hertz, is mathematically designed to trigger a profound parasympathetic nervous system response.
Meaning it relaxes you.
Exactly. By deeply relaxing the body and drastically lowering cortisol levels, you are creating the biological environment where the body's natural cellular repair mechanisms can function optimally. The sound doesn't repair the DNA. The sound removes the stress so the body can repair itself.
Okay, that makes complete sense. It's not magic, it's just advanced stress management. And the story of the song fits that idea of a sudden, miraculous reduction in stress. It's about the serendipitous intimacy of locking eyes with a total stranger on a crowded evening train.
Just a moment in time.
Right. You are sharing a secret frequency in a loud, chaotic world. Just a look that says, I see you and I understand how tired you are.
What's fascinating here is the social context that Lyra Sterling is commenting on. We live in an era entirely obsessed with text messages, emojis, digital communication, and hyperconnectivity.
We are always in touch.
Always. Yet this track elevates the tactile physical sensation of simple, sustained eye contact. True understanding doesn't always require digital translation or typed words.
It's a shared secret in a public space. But, as we transition out of this architecture of connection, the album forces the protagonist and the listener to get back to work.
You can't stay in the safe harbor forever.
No, you really can't. The next phase of the album is about time, trauma, and forward momentum. Tracks 7 through 9 demand that we confront the ghosts of the past and do the actual physical labor of moving forward.
And that active reclamation of power begins with track 7, The Apology I Never Got.
This one is tough.
Yeah, it's tuned to 639 hertz, a frequency that targets the harmonization of relationships and connections. Musically, it is a melancholic piano trio with a crying saxophone, dropping the tempo back down to a reflective 65 BPM.
We've all been trapped in this specific purgatory. The realization that closure is a total myth if you were just sitting around waiting for someone else to give it to you.
Waiting for an apology that's never coming.
Exactly. You wait years for an ex or a parent or a former friend to realize they were wrong and apologize.
Yeah.
But they never do. This song is about pressing delete on that unsent draft in your phone.
Just erasing it.
It's about closing the door and turning the key yourself from the inside.
The vocal direction for Jane Sinclair shifts significantly here. She is weary, yes, but resolute. She isn't shouting in anger. She's speaking from a place of grounded, unshakable truth.
But the sax.
Right, the brilliant arrangement choice by Michael Ela AI is the use of the crying saxophone. While Jane Sinclair's vocals are restrained and mature, the saxophone is allowed to completely unravel.
It goes wild.
It really does. The saxophone represents the wailing, emotional apology that the other person was too proud to give, and the visceral anger the singer is suppressing. The instrument provides the emotional release the vocalist denies herself.
That is a stunning use of instrumentation as narrative. Just brilliant. But what about the 639 hertz frequency? Because if it's meant for relationships, but the song is about walking away from one, isn't that contradictory?
It would be if we assumed it was about the external relationship. But it's used here not to repair the broken bond with the other person, but to repair the listener's relationship with themselves.
Oh, I see.
By actively cutting the energetic cord to someone who hurt you, you are harmonizing your own internal state.
You are finally becoming a good partner to yourself.
Yeah.
Which frees you up, at least until the weekend ends.
Yeah, Sunday always comes.
Track 8, The Heavy Coat of Sunday, is tuned to 741 hertz, which is associated with awakening intuition. It's cinematic ambient jazz, featuring a sweeping cello, incredibly lush studio reverb, and a steady 75 BPM.
This track addresses a very modern phenomenon. The specific existential dread of a weekend ending, what pop culture casually calls the Sunday scaries.
Right.
The hook is, the week is done, the shadows grow, and where the time went, no one knows.
I have to challenge the premise of the Sunday scaries, though. Is Sunday evening sadness really just about having to wake up and go to a corporate job on Monday morning?
You think it's deep?
I do. I think it's a deeper, quieter panic about the unstoppable physical passage of time. You sit on the couch as the sun goes down, the room gets dark, and you suddenly realize another entire week of your finite life is just gone.
Yeah.
You're 1 week closer to the end. It feels like someone draped a heady, damp wool coat over your shoulders.
That is exactly the existential lethargy the track is designed to capture. It's not about your boss, it's about your mortality.
Heavy.
By using the 741 hertz frequency, which is meant to clear negative energy and awaken inner truth, the song attempts to transform that anxiety into a moment of intuitive grounding.
How does the production achieve that feeling of lethargy, though? Because it really sounds huge.
Through the psychoacoustics of the lush reverb. Reverb or reverberation is the persistence of sound after the original sound is produced. It's basically a complex series of echoes.
It's like singing in a cave.
Exactly. By drenching the cello and the piano in heavy reverb, but keeping the vocals dry and close-miced, the producer creates an illusion of scale.
Okay, what does that mean for the listener?
It makes the vocals sound incredibly intimate, yet placed in the middle of a massive, echoing, empty cathedral. It makes the listener feel physically small in the face of time passing. It forces you to just be in the melancholy rather than fighting it.
Wow. But, you can't sit on the couch forever feeling small. Eventually, Monday comes. Eventually, you have to pack up and move, which is the perfect transition to track 9, unpacking the boxes.
Tuned to 852 hertz for restoring spiritual order. This track picks up the energy significantly.
It really does.
It's upbeat contemporary jazz, featuring a warm electric guitar playing a very hopeful, driving groove at 95 BPM.
This is where we see healing portrayed not as a passive feeling, but as a physical, sweaty action. You are standing in a new, empty space. You have to do the exhausting emotional labor of deciding what physical memories to keep and what to throw away.
This track raises an important point about how Lyra Sterling brilliantly matched the physics of the frequency with the tempo and the lyrical content. The 852 Hz frequency is about returning to your true self and restoring spiritual order. Moving on from trauma isn't just a mental exercise you do in a therapist's chair, it is kinesthetic.
Involves your body.
It is sorting through the physical artifacts of your past, and the tempo of 95 BPM is crucial here.
Because 95 BPM is the pace of a brisk walk.
Exactly. It perfectly matches the physical cadence of rolling up your sleeves, walking back and forth across an apartment, cutting packing tape, and clearing a floor. It is the rhythm of forward momentum.
It's the sound of cautious optimism. You are finally building a new architecture for yourself. Which brings us to the final triumphant act of the album, the climax of the deep dive. Acceptance, legacy, and the ultimate exhale.
The final stretch.
Tracks 10 to 12 move beyond the immediate self and past traumas. We reach a state of divine acceptance, acknowledge our generational roots, and finally let go.
Track 10 is the Mirror's Grace. It returns to the mirror from the first track, but the tuning is now 963 Hz, the frequency of divine consciousness.
A huge shift from 174 Hz.
Massive! Sonically, it's spiritual jazz with a sweeping modal feel and cinematic orchestral backing at 90 BPM.
We are back looking at our own reflection. But the energy is entirely different. It's no longer about apologizing or putting down stones of guilt. It's about dropping the judgment completely.
Dropping the knife.
Yes, dropping the knife you use to dissect your flaws. It's about looking at your physical aging, your wrinkles, your scars with absolute reverence.
You mentioned the modal feel of the jazz arrangement, which is mathematically vital to this feeling of reverence.
Explain modal jazz a bit for us.
Sure. In traditional chord-based jazz, the harmony is constantly moving, creating tension and resolution. You're always going somewhere.
Right.
But modal jazz, think of Miles Davis's kind of blue, relies on playing scales over a single sustained chord for a long period of time.
Oh, so it just sits there.
It removes the rapid harmonic tension. It creates a feeling of suspension, floating, and spaciousness. There is no right or wrong note, there is just exploration.
Which perfectly mirrors the philosophical message of the lyrics. There is no right or wrong way for your body to look.
Exactly.
The message is that our physical bodies are the only true living archives of our lived experience. Every stretch mark, every laugh line, every scar is a permanent record of survival and joy.
And the 963 Hz frequency is associated with awakening the crown chakra and recognizing the divine within the physical form.
The modal music acts as an angelic, unconditional embrace of the flesh.
It's profoundly moving to reframe the body not as an ornament to be judged, but as a historical archive to be respected. And speaking of history, track 11, Inherited Hands, takes that archival concept even further back in time.
This one is tuned to 111 Hz for cellular rejuvenation. A deep groove jazz piece with a resonant, woody upright bass anchoring everything at 85 BPM. The story in this track is one of those universal human moments that hits you like a truck when it happens.
Oh, totally. You are doing something completely mundane, holding a coffee cup, perhaps. You look down and suddenly you recognize your father's exact nervous habit in the movement of your own fingers.
Right. Or you hear your mother's laugh come out of your own throat.
It's the realization that cellular memory is the ultimate archive. We aren't just ourselves. We are a biological tapestry of everyone who came before us.
The vocal direction for Jane Sinclair on this track is arguably the most impressive on the entire album. She transitions seamlessly from highly rhythmic, close-miced, spoken word poetry in the verses directly into a smooth, breathy, neo-soul croon in the chorus.
It's an incredible performance.
But what is the narrative purpose behind shifting from spoken word to singing in that specific way?
It represents the transition from the conscious mind to the subconscious soul.
Oh, I see.
The spoken word in the verses represents the active conscious realization, noticing the habit, analyzing the shape of the hands.
Right, the analytical part.
But when she slides into the melodic croon of the chorus, the conscious mind gives way to the emotional reality. It is the acceptance that we are inextricably made of the people who came before us, both their traumas and their triumphs.
That is beautiful.
And the extremely low 111 Hz frequency stimulates endorphins and resonates deeply in the physical chest cavity, mimicking the deep resonance of ancestral memory.
We are literally vibrating with the echoes of our parents. And finally, having unpacked everything, having accepted the past, forgiven the self, cleared the counter, and honored the body, we reach the finale. Track 12, the title track, The Weight of a Sigh.
The album returns to the 432 hertz earth resonance.
Full circle.
A raw acoustic ballad that is extremely, almost painfully sparse. Just a solitary piano, the lightest touch of brush drums, slowing all the way down to a near standstill at 65 BPM.
This is the aftermath. This isn't the dramatic climax of the movie where everyone is screaming and crying in the rain.
No, this is 20 minutes after the credits roll.
Yes. This is the deep, shuddering, exhausted breath you take when there's absolutely nothing left to cry about. Absolute, total surrender. The lyric that titles the album is delivered in a whisper. The weight of a sigh, the break of a tear, the sound of a soul when there's nobody here.
If we look at the biological and physiological conclusion of catharsis, it isn't an explosion, it's an exhale.
A sigh.
Throughout our daily lives, as we navigate the digital rain you mentioned at the beginning, we subconsciously hold our breath. We carry invisible tension in our intercostal muscles.
We don't even realize we're doing it.
We don't. The biological purpose of a sigh is actually to inflate alveoli in the lungs that have collapsed during shallow breathing. It is a biological reset button.
So a sigh isn't just an expression of sadness. It is the body literally keeping itself alive and functional.
Exactly. This track strips away every complex musical arrangement to focus entirely on that biological reset. Jane Sinclair's delivery is fragile, incredibly exhausted, with audible, heavy air taken in between the lines.
You can hear her breathing.
Yes. The 432 hertz frequency grounds the listener one final time. And the song and the entire album ends not with a fading chord, but with an actual, audible, relaxing exhale into silence.
Just letting it all go. The silence after that exhale is the exact silence we talked about stepping into at the top of the show. What an absolute masterpiece of an acoustic journey Michael Ela AI, Lyra Sterling, and Jane Sinclair have taken us on.
It truly is. It redefines what an album can achieve when music, physics, and psychology are perfectly aligned.
To summarize the massive conceptual takeaway here, the weight of a sigh proves that in this hyper-digital, incredibly fast-paced, algorithmically driven world, our most profound universal connections are not found in grand, sweeping political statements or massive pop anthems.
No, they're not.
They are found in our quietest, most specific vulnerabilities. The coffee rings on the wood, the heavy wool coats of Sunday evening, the inherited shapes of our hands, the exhausted sighs in empty rooms.
And this deep dive, much like the album itself, has been an invitation for you to recalibrate your own nervous system. You do not have to carry the heavy river stones of self-criticism forever. You are allowed to leave the ghosts of your past in the rearview mirror without guilt. And you are always, always allowed to ask for a safe harbor when you are too exhausted to navigate the storm.
We learned today that our bodies are the ultimate living archives. They hold the echoes of our ancestors, the stress of our modern lives, and the beautiful scars of our own survival. So before you open that door and step back out into the digital rain, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to mull over today.
Let's hear it.
If your physical form is a permanent biological record of your life's experiences, what emotion is being permanently written into your posture right at this exact moment?
Oh, that's a good question.
Pay attention to your body right now as you listen to this. Are your shoulders tense and pulled up to your ears? Is your jaw clenched? Are you holding your breath, waiting for the next ping of a notification?
It might just be time to put down the stones.
It just might be. Take a breath. Let it out. Thank you for joining us in this sonic shelter today. We invite you to step back out there, but keep exploring the acoustic truths of your own lives. Until next time.
Oh, the weight of a sigh, the break of a tear, the sound of a soul when there's nobody here. I'm letting it fall, I'm letting it go. The deepest ache that I'll ever know, the weight of a try to be so strong and tall. We build the house, we paint the wall, we wrap ourselves in iron thread and bury all the words we said. But underneath the pride we wear, we're fragile as a breath of air. It gathers up inside my throat, a desperate solitary note. The break of a tear, the sound of a soul when there's nobody here. I'm letting it fall, I'm letting it go. The deepest ache that I'll ever know. the